I don't care what they say about the guy in Wisconsin, the Sikh massacre guy. I don't care what they say. I haven't heard from Brian Ross on it yet. So Brian Ross weighs in. We're not going to know how to label this guy. I mean, when the Southern Poverty Law Center's out, there's a white supremacist, okay, predictable. But until Brian Ross does his research to find out if the guy's a member of the Tea Party, we're gonna prejudge this. You got to be very careful here, folks. Don't jump head first into this. It's only been, 24 hours. Until ABC stepping out with Brian Ross tell us about this, nobody's going to really... How are you? How was your weekend? 800-282-2882 if you want to be on the program. Email address lrushmo@eibnet.com. Folks, I asked you a question. I'm dead serious about this. Because I mean, I've got two emotions on this NBC commercial with the monkey doing gymnastics controversy. I kind of love that it's happened to them, but they brought it on themselves. Let me ask you, if you see a commercial with a monkey doing gymnastics and you think of an African American, doesn't that make you racist? I must tell you, I watched Gabby Douglas. I watched her win the gold medal. I watched Bob Costas end the whole segment by talking about what a wonderful thing it was. And, you know, even though it's not groundbreaking, it's still nevertheless the first time an African American's won a gold medal in gymnastics. And he said there's probably a lot of young African-American girls out there watching this and, hey, that looks fun. Maybe I can do it too. And then they ran to this commercial. I must tell you, I saw the commercial, didn't think a thing of it. The commercial didn't make me think of a black person, didn't make me think of Gabby Douglas, didn't make me think of anything. And then it was hours later, I see NBC's apologize for it. And it got me to thinking. Wouldn't it be racist if you're the one who notices it? But yet the libs are pointing out that they're holding, because they're the ones pointing out that some racism took place, but yet you have to be racist to make the connection. So you got your average liberal out there watching the Olympics. Gabby Douglas wins the gold. Costas does his, oh, isn't it wonderful? Then they run the commercial with the monkey on the and a bunch of, that's racist. That's racist. NBC's. Don't you have to be the racist to make that? I mean, who would connect a monkey in a commercial to an African American? Only a racist would do that. I watched the commercial. It didn't even. In fact, when the controversy arose, I know, what is this? Because I only vaguely remembered. I remember how the commercial starts. It's a close-up on a monkey with its mouth open, smiling on the rings. Hands on the rings. This is okay. How anybody gets from there to Gabby Douglas is, you know, folks, I'll tell you this. If you think that's bad, you wouldn't believe what's going on out there on Twitter. This poor girl is being ripped to shreds by liberals and African Americans because her hair was styled like the white girls on the team. You know, and they try to tell us folks that we're the racists. These people are the epitome of predictable. They're the ones who see skin color and all this surface stuff. Never struck me. All I figured, you got to get the hair out of the way if you're doing these gymnastics things. And you don't want to go bald in there. That's sending the wrong message. You got to get the hair out of it. Okay, fine. She had her hair straight. Then I read Jason Whitlock at Fox Sports, and he says there's another controversy. I get this one. I'm such a babe in the woods. I mean, I don't even know half the stuff going on out there in Twitter. So Jason Whitlock's writing this piece saying it's one of the controversies in the African-American women community, quote unquote, is the straightening of the hair. And a lot of black women want, snurdly, hang on, they want to straighten the hair, but then after that they don't want to do any exercise because that leads to sweat and that screws up the hair job. Ditto swimming. They don't. And so the whole point was African-American women are eschewing, wait a minute now, African-American women are eschewing athletics and therefore becoming obese because of their preoccupation with their hair, wanting to straighten it out. I'm reading all this. Well, that's the point. White girls don't want to sweat either. They want to glisten. They don't want to sweat. But I'm reading all this. I mean, and all of it brought to our attention by a bunch of holier-than-thou liberals who claim that that they're the ones who are colorblind, and they thrive on this stuff. I mean, this Gabby Douglas, she's got a great story. It's a miniature Blindside story in a way, and she triumphs, and all this is in the aftermath. You know, well, okay, the hair thing goes back 55. Fine, hair goes. I didn't know the hair thing went back last week. I mean, no, you didn't hear me. You're too busy in there laughing at Dawn's white girl sweat comment. Look at the controversy is that this is why black women are obese. Is because they go so far out to straighten their hair that they won't exercise because that leads to sweat. And then, of course, they won't swim. Well, they can't get on the Olympic swim team. Voila, fat. The whole thing is beyond silly because I look at Michelle Obama. Well, anyway. And here's NBC. You know what? We played a commercial of a monkey doing gymnastics right after we are terribly sorry. Aren't they admitting? Aren't they admitting they're the ones who are racist? Also, I just, folks, this is, it's, the liberals are screwing us up something fierce. And I'm telling you, I watched the commercial because it was the end of the show. The way we've been watching this is zooming past the commercials and the stuff that we don't want to see. We let it record for 2 hours and then we start watching. But I wanted to watch Costas wrap it up. I had a feeling I knew what that would be about, and that was the end of the show. There was no reason to fast forward it, so it just kept running. I saw it didn't even register until the next day when I read it. There's this controversy out there. I stayed up late last night, ladies and gentlemen, consuming adult beverages while watching the Mars landing. This was a technological feat that is difficult to describe. You actually need a video, an animation video that was produced to see this, or a series of slides to show how they got this rover on the surface. I don't know if this means anything to you. 500,000 lines of computer code. It was a computer program that was written to take this thing from re-entry to the Martian atmosphere down to the surface. 500,000 lines of code is, I can't tell you how many technological executions. If just one of them had failed, this thing would be history. Just one of them. Just one small item in the 500,000 lines of code. I remember when I worked in Kansas City, radio stations, KUDL, Cuddle, went through a bunch of format changes. It was oldies and then hard rock, and then there became an automated format, and all the DJs got fired. I was spared as assistant program director, and you know what that meant? Programming the automation machine. Now, back then, and I tell you this, I'll never forget this. You programmed every day for the next 12 hours, and then hoped you didn't get sick, car didn't break down, sleep later. But on Friday, when you have to program for the whole weekend, it took an hour, and this was key punch. It was punching holes in tape. And you had to do this for, 72 hours. Every song that was going, every commercial in the right order. And if there was one, let's say you'd done 71 hours, you're starting the 72nd hour. You make a mistake, you have to start all over. The first 71 hours are worthless. You couldn't edit it. It was, it made me think of this last night. when I'm watching what happened. But it is stunning what we pulled off here by an agency that Obama has shut down, essentially. I was just, these people ought to, and they were hooting and hollering. They were having the biggest time when this thing landed. They didn't know it. In fact, there was a 14-minute delay from the time a transmission starts near Mars before it reaches here. Radio signals travel pretty much speed of light. It takes the mission was 36 weeks, is 9 months to get there. But a radio message takes 14 minutes. When the people at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory got the signal that they were re-entering the atmosphere, the thing was either on the surface already or blown to bits. They didn't know because of the delay. So everything they learned was 14 minutes after the fact. And the video that they prepared, the animation to show what all was happening here to make this happen. For example, just one thing. The largest parachute ever made was invented for this thing, created to hold 65,000 pounds. It weighed 100 pounds itself. But it only would slow the thing down to 100 miles an hour. You can't land at 100 miles an hour. It got to a certain altitude, and then rockets fired to soften the landing. However, the rockets firing, they thought they knew, would create a massive dust storm that would bury the rover unless they somehow moved it laterally after starting all this, so the dust was going to end up elsewhere. This is a minute example of what had to happen. The heat shield had to come off at the right time. There was a chain, also because of the rockets and the dust. They had to. I'm not going to try to explain this without pictures. But the rover itself descended on an 18 or 20-foot chain link. I don't know what the material was, a chain link from the so-called mothership. And then the mothership has, when the rockets on the rover fire to take it down to the surface, this thing at the top of the chain has to be shot off way far in the distance so it doesn't land on top of the rover. And there were countless thousands of things like the exact point of entry in the Martian atmosphere to find this landing spot. And they can't fly it. They're not in real time. You know, it does become an aircraft once it enters the Martian atmosphere, but they can't fly it. They don't have real-time data. Everything was in this computer program. 500,000 lines of code. This was American ingenuity. This was American excellence. This was a most amazing thing. And then the pictures were almost, within 10 minutes of this thing hitting the ground, they got the first pictures back, showing it on the ground, showing one of the wheels. What was the question, HR? HR wants to know if it's near the flag. Yeah, that Sheila Jackson Lee, she was visiting NASA in Houston. That's her district. She was in the Johnson Space Center. And a previous Mars rover mission, and little rover, this thing is huge, but this rover is huge. This rover, larger than a Volkswagen, it looks like. It's huge for what it is. These other rovers were Tinker Toys. And one of those missions, they brought Sheila Jackson Lee, a member of Congress, show the money being well spent. And as it's shown, moving around the Martian surface, she said, well, is it going to go to where the astronauts planted the flag? Of course, the staff of the Johnson Space said, okay, we got a woman here who doesn't have the slightest idea that we're talking about Mars, not the moon. How do we, not laugh, and then how do we answer her question without embarrassing her, because there's a lot of other people here? Oh, that's right, folks. I'm sorry. We didn't build the spaceship. Never mind. We didn't build that. No, wait a minute. We damn well did build it because there aren't any roads and bridges up there yet. We damn well did build it.